This is Oscar Bevis from the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on the DAZN. Ben, good to see you, mate.
Good afternoon.
Los Angeles, how's things?
It's good to be here, isn't it? Yeah, chilling, enjoying myself. It was good to see it all on the pier yesterday, and looking forward to a fantastic week, fantastic event.
Yeah, I think Grand Arrivals on the pier is a perfect way to kind of kick off the ridiculousness that is Riyadh season. What was your journey like over?
Good. Yeah, came over, bit jet lagged, but it's all good. And came straight from, we had a press media day on Monday for a big show on Saturday that I'm really upset, if I'm honest, to be missing. Obviously delighted to be here, but gutted not to be in Barnsley on Saturday. And yeah, I feel like I've let a couple of the fighters down, to be honest. It's a big show for us. It's someone that we've been building for a long time, gets his homecoming. Obviously Zach Chelly as well, worked with for a long time, so huge fight. And yeah, gutted to be missing it, but obviously grateful to be here as well.
Yeah, why was it here that you chose to be on Saturday night?
You know what? I think Martin's fight is huge, just in terms of the global heavyweight scene. It's massive. You've got the number one heavyweight prospect in the US taking a fight that many people raised eyebrows. It's a fight that just doesn't happen. But what Turkey has done for us in that situation, the whole event, the historic nature of it, planning other fights as well coming forward, I think it's important for our stable and important for Martin and yeah, to be here and be part of such a massive event. Yeah,
Jared Anderson, really highly touted. Like you said, probably not just the number one heavyweight prospect in the US, but in the world. Yeah, all the UK noise, especially from Eddie Hearn as well, this week has been that Team Anderson have made a big mistake with Martin Bakole.
It's just such a strange... This is what Turkey has... You have to just commend him, because I'm young, aren't I? But you get caught up in how boxing works. Oh no, it can't work like that. Oh no, you can't do that. That's not how things happen. And then if I'd have proposed that fight even to my team or even to Top Rank, I'd have been laughed at. I'd have been told I'm an idiot. I can't even imagine how that conversation on the phone goes with Top Rank of me trying to push the Martin Bakole, Jared Anderson fight. It's not even a call I'm making. And so for him to pull that off, and fair play for Jared to take it as well, I think we should be commending it, because in boxing terms, of course, it's too early. This step up is enormous. Martin Bakole is a fantastic fighter. He'll come again, Jared, if he doesn't win, but if he does win, he just straight away cements himself right at the top. I don't care what anyone says. Martin Bakole is someone you don't want to fight, and someone that gives everyone a fight. And yeah, I think that's why in the UK we're so surprised, because it just doesn't happen, and that's why on the outside it could look like a bad mistake. But I think that's just what Turkey has been able to do, which is make fights that otherwise just wouldn't happen. And for a boxing fan, I mean, I'm biased, obviously, because we're involved with Martin, but that fight, out of all the unbelievable fights on the card, I do believe it's the most intriguing fight, because it just doesn't happen in boxing, and so many unanswered questions will be answered on Saturday night between Martin and Jared. And yeah, I can't wait, and we'll see whether Jared's made a mistake or not.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm with you on that. I think Martin and Jared, alongside the main event, is the two real standouts from the card. Yeah. Did Martin Bakole need this as well, in the sense that there's been so many sparring stories, so many stories pushed by not even just himself, by his trainer Billy Nelson as well, that we've been really close to fights and then people have backed out at the last minute, and he sparred Dubois and he sparred Usyk and done this and that. That's all good and well, but it's not on the record. He hasn't got a world title and it isn't earning him money. So did he need this in that sense? Because there's been a lot of talk around Martin Bakole.
Yeah,
I think his biggest fight's Carlos Takam.
I think Joker in Paris was big, but I think for Martin, it's like every time he wins a fight, you think, right, we're going to break through now. We're going to get the fights that we want, whether it was Joker, then signing with us. Obviously, we went out to Poland, he beat Shevardzutsky, and then the Takam fight. #1 in the WBA. There's a lot of reasons to fight him, but there's too many reasons not to. And yeah, it has been difficult. I can't. This is like a gift from somewhere, Turkey, but somewhere. And I think it's what, of course, like this opportunity for Martin beating Jared Anderson on a stage like this just takes him into a whole nother stratosphere, and hopefully is going to allow us to make the fights that we'd always want to make. And I think it propels him. And yeah, did he need it? 100%. Does he deserve it? Yes. But he's got to prove what he said. As you say, you hear so many sparring stories. You do know that he's always up for sparring. So he's been in everyone's gym. He's probably the most well-known fighter on the circuit because he just goes everywhere. He'll do so many rounds. He'll get in with anyone. He never complains. He'll spar anyone. So everyone knows how good he is. And sometimes that works against you in boxing. There's a lot of fighters that just won't. They'll go to certain gyms and they'll choose sparring here and they'll choose something there. Sometimes because, one, maybe they don't want to give anything away, but two, they don't want to stop fights happening. And Martin's just been everywhere. Everyone knows how good he is. And I still remember Alex Krasiuk sat with me in Saudi when he fought Takam, I believe it was. I think he was there, and he said, I promise you, you've got the next best heavyweight. And obviously he was talking about Usyk at the time, and that's how well rated he is in boxing, and that's why he won't get the fights. He's not got the profile of Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, but Saturday night is a massive step towards that, in a huge test, in a hard test, in a 10-round test, which should be 12, but 10 rounds, 4 American judges. It's not going to be easy, and he's going to have to start from the first round and be really aggressive and hopefully get the job done.
I can't imagine it's going to go the distance, but can I just highlight the 4 American judges that you just said there?
Yeah, I mean...
Does that concern you?
Of course it...
Because we know what boxing is like, and it isn't a certain promotion or a certain country.
No,
it's in every country, and it's in every promotion.
And you could say the UK is very bad for it, you know.
We are.
But... yeah, and then 10 rounds, and so you're thinking, right, there's basically, it's almost like if he doesn't stop him, because it's over 10 rounds, unless he absolutely dominates him, it can be quite tight, and then you're in trouble. So, yeah, of course, I think it's stacked against him in that sense, but we got given the opportunity. You know, Jared Anderson is a big star over here with the world at his feet. And so you take what you're given. That's the reality, and he's going to have to put on a huge performance. I'm confident, but I'm quiet. I'm Sugar Hill, who's one of my good friends, to be honest, and one of the people that actually helped me start when I first started boxing. Started in boxing. People don't know that, and Sugar was always on the phone, talking about things, and obviously got with Ben Whittaker early on, and built a really strong relationship. So it's funny now to see him in the other side, and yeah, that obviously, I think Sugar says that Jared's had an amazing camp, listened to everything, and I went for dinner with Sugar last night, and they're very confident. They're very confident. You expect them to be. It's a great fight. We're going to see what Jared Anderson's what he's all about.
Yeah. 2 confident teams, 2 confident fighters. Yeah. It has to be a good fight. Was you 2 days away from the Joe Joyce fight?
2 hours maybe. It was there. It was done.
Yeah, because Billy Nelson mentioned this to me. Yeah. Obviously, I guess it becomes a little bit more prominent now. We've seen Joe defeated by Derek Chisora, but you were kind of closing in on a launch press conference.
Yeah, very close. But look, I can see why Joe. I can see why Joe wouldn't want to fight Martin Bakole, not just because of what happened. And so it was one of those things, and this happens with Martin a lot. There's been a lot of fights that have been nearly, and then the fighter does either come to his senses or has a reality check and wants to go a different route. And when there's other routes available to a fighter, they've usually chosen that other route. But yeah, as I say, Saturday it can all change. We're here now. It's not going to be stopped now. We're 3 days away from a fight. And I'm very excited and obviously delighted for Martin to be able to put on, hopefully, a massive performance on such a big stage.
Yeah. If I was to put my manager's hat on, not that I'm an expert, I can imagine, I can see why Joe Joyce, Derek Chisora is more appealing to Team Joyce. A fight that is of a lesser level than Martin Bakole. and it sells better. But it
Of
didn't
course.
work in his favour in the end. Your take on Joe's defeat to Derek? And something you
I'll
expected?
be honest.
Or?
Yeah, I think that Cash Ali fight for me.
Showed enough?
Yeah. I think at that point, look, Joe seems like, and I know him a bit from the Joseph Parker fight, seems like a fantastic guy, just a great guy and a great role model. But something's changed a bit, hasn't it, since the two Zhang fights, and yeah, maybe it is just coming to the end, and that's what happens. And we know that it takes a lot out of your heavyweight boxing. So yeah, wasn't surprised. Obviously, you say Derek Chisora, a lot of people saying it's been at the end for a long time as well. So yeah, I wish Joe the best, and it would be interesting to see what he does next.
Yeah, just briefly covering the card that you got back home in Barnsley. Callum Simpson, someone that, say, you took a real shine to after a couple of performances on Sky and Boxer, and now fights Zach Chelly at Oakwell.
Yep, massive.
Didn't want to get the stadium name wrong and do Callum an injustice there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oakwell, you guys quite like putting people in their hometown, right in the mix where they're from. I suppose works from a ticket sales perspective, but Callum and Barnsley are quite interlocked. He's quite good with the club as well.
Yeah, football, local. Like for me, that's what boxing's about. Like Ricky Hatton, the obvious one, but I've said Josh Warrington was someone that I used to hear stories about, going to the pubs to sell his tickets in hand, going to the games, building that amazing following that we
Josh
had.
Warrington come to Stamford Bridge with Leeds on away days with all his boys. Yeah.
And it works. And look at what we went on to sell out arenas, boxed at Headingley. Incredible. And that's what British boxing is about, and that's what makes it different to every other place in the world, I believe, is that tribal support that a boxer can generate in their hometown. And hopefully we're starting to see some of the lads that we have come through. Chris Smith was phenomenal, what we've done in Bournemouth and what he's gone on to achieve, and the support that he's got. And even when we went to Cardiff with Lauren Price, it was phenomenal. And Tasha Jonas in Liverpool, Savannah Marshall in Newcastle. Hopefully Ben Whittaker in Wolverhampton when that kicks off. And many more, but Callum Simpson's, I've never seen anything like it, because this is the first one, 48 hours sold out, 7,000 tickets. And people talk about ticket sellers and the big ones in the UK, and everyone talks about Johnny Fisher quite rightly. Who's done that? 7,000 in 48 hours. I promise you that is not an exaggeration. We had to take tickets off so that we could give more tickets, or some tickets, to the guys fighting on the undercard. If we could have opened more capacity, it could have been weirdly crazy what we could have done tickets-wise for him. So great potential, looks the part, can really fight, does everything right, works really hard, inside and outside the ring, deserves his opportunity. Equally so does Zach Chelly, who's someone we've worked with. Both gets a main event in a British Commonwealth title, which I'm so gutted I'm not going to be there. And but I'll be watching, and I'll speak to the guys before, and obviously Caroline Dubois on the card. Delighted to see her back in actually a really tough fight against Myra Meneo, who's only ever lost on a clash of heads before. Really tough fight. Stephen McKenna goes up to 154, where I think we're going to see him become a problem. Obviously, his brother's doing really well as well against Joe Laws, who had a great win against Michael Hennessy Jr., Conor Coyle. It's good because of the Irish following, and we've not had many Irish fighters on Sky, and so we're seeing how that performs. He obviously unbeaten against Kyle Lamoti, and some local lads, Billy Denise, who people speak highly from Manchester. Great local card, but a massive main event, and I will be watching. And as I say, I'm sorry to the fighters, because I do feel like I've let them down in a way, not being there, but obviously we have a big team, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Mate, you can't clone yourself, and it's not a bad one getting to watch the boxing here. Yeah. Bit of LA sun, and then trotting off to the BMO Stadium for this card. A couple of things I want to cover, some boxing relationships, if you will. Yourself and Frank Smith. Now, Charlie done an interview, 30,000 feet in the air, and there was a point where he, in a sentence, used the fact that you had a Sky deal, and Frank chirped in by saying, "Not for long." Your take on that comment?
Yeah, I just don't know what it is, and I think it seemed to calm down, and then we signed Eubank Jr. and whatnot. But look, Sky's in a great place. Obviously, there's a lot of broadcasters dropping out of boxing and this and that, but we're already making signings that are multi-year signings between us, and so yeah. Again, I don't know where. Look, I do. It's got to a point where I don't really care anymore at all. I never really have. I think people say it's back and forth. It's not back and forth. I don't say anything. So, look, I think it can't. I think signing Eubank's obviously close to him. Chris made his decision. I don't know what it is.
You're right. I thought there was some plasters put over the.
Yeah, I think when we did the Tyler Denny fight, and it seemed all good. But look, I don't know. Maybe, as I say, it's hard. I don't know. But going round to people trying to wind them up about me, or trying to, it just seems, obviously competition is competition, but surely he's got more important things to focus on.
I mean, you two will see each other on the pier. I'm sure you probably crossed paths yesterday. Maybe we could just get you in front of the camera and you can just sort it out. I'll be like a boxing Jeremy.
Yeah,
Kyle.
exactly. Maybe get us in the ring on the pier. We can be the fourth fight.
I'm happy. I'm sure DAZN would be happy with that.
Yeah, they would. Callum would be happy with that one.
On the talking of DAZN, there was, I think it was, might have been the Times, if I'm wrong, apologies, that said Frank Warren is looking to explore options with DAZN now. I know he keeps quite coy, which he's going to do, and say, look, we're good with TNT, we're happy. And TNT and Frank have been a brilliant combination. But Frank to DAZN puts two of the three main promoters on one platform. Hypothetically, would you be interested in something like that? Because then we combine the three biggest promoters in the UK and get you all on one platform.
I'm very loyal to Sky and I think Sky is very important to boxing, to build stars and to be part of that. And I think what I'm seeing now is broadcasters can work together, and so can promoters. And sometimes it wasn't always the promoters. Like, people got to remember, the broadcasters are the ones paying. They're not going to, usually in a different world, the promoters are fronting it up and whatnot, and that's the job. But Turkey El Sheikh, Riyadh season, Saudi are able to bring everyone together for the greater good of the sport. So I don't think it matters. And in terms of rumours as to broadcasters and this and that, you hear rumours all the time. Like I was told my deal with Sky was 6 months, then it was he'll be out in a year, then it was 18 months, then it's 2 years, then it's 3 years, then he's gone in a year. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of talk happens in boxing. Obviously, I'm not saying that DAZN Frank Warren thing isn't happening, but until it happens, you just don't know. But it's so good, in my opinion, that you have so many broadcasters interested in the sport. There's almost more broadcasters interested in the sport than there are promoters. Great time to be a promoter because you've got so many broadcasters interested in the sport, but fantastic time for the sport because the broadcasters are what drives it. DAZN do an unbelievable job to support boxing globally and to really push it. We've never had that before like this. It's a great time for boxing, and for me it's about, yes, all the promoters on one network's great, but what about, you want as many broadcasters interested in the sport as possible, reaching new audiences, reaching not just your current boxing fans, but possible boxing fans, football fans, cricket fans, F1 fans, whatever it is. And so I think it's a great time to be in the sport. And I think boxing's in a great space.
Yeah, it is in a good place, and you can't be in a place like this with a card like that without realising that boxing's in a good place. On the signing of Chris Eubank Jr., it was the wording that caught me out, because it was how was it worded? Because it wasn't worded. I think it just was announced like as a signing.
It was just announced as a partnership, and to be honest, we didn't even read too much into that. I asked the guys, but what it is Chris Eubank Jr. is at the twilight of his career, and at the top of his career, right? So there's certain things that we're going to be helping him on his sponsorship deals. There's certain things where he's going to have his branding involved in the event, which is important to him. So that's all that is. But obviously, it's the same effectively as a promotional deal, just with us all working together to get the biggest fights, and wherever that might be. And obviously, I'm delighted because he's one of the biggest stars in the sport and a huge crossover star, and it's a massive, massive signing for us.
Yeah. You mentioned one in the biggest fights, the Canelo Alvarez fight, is one that slipped through the net. Was that ever a realistic possibility?
It was, and just being honest, and I want to be honest, is for me, that was a dream. Going to Vegas with Eubank against Canelo would have been incredible.
Where was the falling point?
Just money. And it was there, and in the end I had to just say, look, it's not for September 14th, and it's a very short time period. It just was not the value that Chris would expect for a fight like that. And I do support him on that. We know the numbers that other people get, and fighters maybe of lesser stature have got. And so I think it was agreed between the parties this could come full circle again, and I think Chris believes it will, and we believe it will as well, and it's a huge fight and one that I will look forward to massively, and hopefully can happen next year.
Yeah, I spoke to Liam Smith at the weekend at the O2, and he said that as soon as Chris signed with you, he knew that the deal wouldn't happen. I guess firing shots your way, everyone's seen recently that perhaps things didn't end on the greatest terms. Something that's fixable, or?
Look, I hope so. And but from my side, I don't get him back and forth with Liam. I've got a lot of respect for him and his family, and he's a great fighter. And to be honest, three fantastic nights with him, 2 massive pay-per-views, and I wish him all the best. I genuinely do, and I do hope he rolls back the years against Josh Kelly, and hopefully we can speak to him there.
Yeah, man, I love that fight. Just a couple more things. On Eubank, what's the fight date that you've got in mind, or like a rough kind of time period?
Just agreed on it.
Oh, cool. A fight as well, or
yeah,
just a date?
on the fight.
Yeah? Domestic?
It's not one that I can. It's a lot of people involved, so not one that I can say now. But just agreed on it, and just great to get him moving because he has been out the ring since last September, a long time, and delighted to get him back. Another big name for the sport, get him back in the ring, hopefully into the big fights now. Hopefully wins the world title. He's good enough to, and I can't wait. Wicked.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Turkey. Are you meeting him this week?
Look, I hope so. I think so.
A little sit down meal.
Look, he's been since I first met him in June. He made clear to me, and this is what is so great, and I think everyone feels it now in the sport. He's not looking to side with this person, side with that person. It's almost like it's beneath him. All that crap, he doesn't care, and that's what the sport probably always needed. Everyone running around like children. It's just almost like, oh, there's someone there now to just make sure that the right things happen in the sport.
No playground fights.
It's and he said that, and he's got nowhere, at the start, because obviously Queensbury started there in the matchroom, and so for us it was, hang on, and he's made it clear, and I think that's why you've seen even Golden Boy and Top Rank being less involved, the partnerships there. He wants everyone to do well. He wants the sport to do well. He wants the best fights to happen, and it's obviously an amazing time to be a major part of that in the sport that we love, and that's what I'm excited about, and that's what I'm excited about the future, because there's some amazing things being planned, and that's why I'm here, and fair play.
Was you shocked at that Golden Boy video, the De La Hoya one?
Which one?
De La Hoya and his ex.
No, not at all. Okay. People don't. Once you understand what he's about, he's going to make the sport a great place, I believe, and he's going to bring everyone together. So hopefully everything can happen when the fights need to happen, and I think don't be surprised by anything.